Okay. All right, welcome everyone to today's community meeting regarding 35 project located at 3521 Homestead. My name is Steve Lee. I'm the senior planner here with the City of Santa Clara. I'm here with the project planner Meha Patel and our director Afsha. Today's meeting is the developers hosted meetings. It is a recorded meeting, it's a hybrid meeting. There are folks online as well. Since it's developers hosted meetings, make sure your comments are related to the project and directed for the applicant. Any questions related to the city's process, how you can be involved in the city public hearing process, you can leave that to either after the meeting or you can connect with us. Our contact will be at the last slide of the presentation. So with that, I'll leave it to Jim and you can introduce your.
Since people are online, can they hear you or do you have to speak into the mic?
And you can, the mic should be able to pick up even the folks in the back of the room, so they should hear us.
And
It's operating right now.
yeah, yeah, someone if they aren't able to hear, they.
Mic should be on too. Can you ask Erica if she's
Oh,
hearing?
right. Number 18. Erica, if you can hear us, if you can unmute and confirm.
I want to make sure that you can hear us.
Of course. Go ahead. Yeah. Erica? Or anyone, if you can hear us, you can raise your hand too, if you can help us with that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thumbs
We
up.
got 2 thumbs. Okay, sounds good. Jim, pass it over to you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for your time in coming out tonight for this community meeting. My name is Jim Sullivan. I'm here with my assistant Luke. And also in the back, Brian Steele, who was a developer originally under contract, Waymark Homes with for this property. That agreement was then assigned to Pulte Homes about 18 months ago or 20 months ago. So before I start, I just need to explain a process that a lot of you are probably unaware of. So there's 8-year cycles and they're called a housing element cycle. And this is something that the state of California imposes on every city in California. I think we're either on our 5th or 6th 8-year cycle. And the current cycle is from 2023 to 2031. And what's interesting about this cycle, this last cycle that happened, is typically during those 8-year periods, the state will look at a big area like the Bay Area and say, how many housing units do we need to be built during that 8 years? And traditionally it's been, so the cycle before the cycle that we're in was 110,000 housing units, which is a lot. This cycle, the cities, a lot of cities were a bit dismayed because that Bay Area figure was 440,000. It went up almost fourfold. So every city, now that doesn't mean that just one city gets the brunt. It's basically based on population, and the city of Santa Clara's requirement, their share of that was 11,632 housing units. So back prior to 2023, and it used to be, let me again go back, because this has been going on for 40 years. It used to be the state would say, produce these housing units, or at least opportunity for housing to be approved. And a lot of cities, quite frankly, just ignored it. And some of the cities that have traditionally been no growth: Cupertino, Menlo Park, Los Gatos, Saratoga. And so this last housing cycle, the state essentially said, if you do not comply, if you do not, number one, adopt a housing element that we approve, And if you don't remain in compliance with that housing element, we're essentially going to take away some powers that you have on the planning side and basically kind of make it a free-for-all for developers. And that has already happened throughout California. I don't know if anyone here has heard of builder's remedy, but it basically allows a builder to go in, knock down anything that's there, anything, and build essentially kind of as much as they want to build, right? Santa Clara, in my opinion, was one of the more responsible cities in the Bay Area that got ahead of it and went about identifying potential sites that could accommodate future housing. Pulte Homes, who I work for, is a residential development or is a residential developer. That's what they do. They're a national builder. They build homes, right? I know a lot of people here, I can tell by the signs, that would prefer not to have the existing uses go away. And Pulte Homes is not coming in to try and steal anybody's livelihood. They're merely looking in different cities, where is there an opportunity to build housing, which the state of California has decreed is a very big priority for the state. So I just want to make that clear before I kind of go forward with the slides. So as I mentioned, the Pulte Group is the developer that's under contract with the property owner. They don't own the property right now. They're under contract. They're pursuing an approval with the city for their project. Next slide, please, Luke. So the company overview, one of the largest home builders, building in 25 states, 46 markets, since 1950. And they've built projects here in Santa Clara before. Actually, I live right on Scott and Monroe in a Pulte Group home. Next slide, please. Oh, as we're going to the next slide, I'm going to talk about myself. I'm going to answer all of your questions or listen to all of your comments at the end. So we can just kind of get through. I just have about 8 or 9 slides. So myself, Jim Sullivan, and I've left my my email. I also have business cards in case any of you guys would like. I have over 30 years experience in this development. Was born and raised very close to this site, actually right on the corner of Midi Avenue and Lawrence Expressway. So, you know, about 1.5 miles down. Next slide, please. So here's the site, and I think everybody knows about it. It's basically on the northeast corner of Homestead and Lawrence Expressway. Next slide, please. So it's 5.5 acres of land. I couldn't find for sure the exact date that it was built, but I recall being a kid in the mid 60s, you know, this having been a developed site with commercial on it. So I know that it's at least, you know, over 60 years old. There's about 62,500 square feet of space. And basically it's a little, I just use the word dilapidated, and that's based on just kind of the age of the structures. Next slide, please. So what our project is entitling, and we'll have another slide that will show kind of the breakdown, is a total of 147 units. There's a mix of 4-story, what I'm going to call stacked kind of condominium units, and then 47 or 57 3-story townhomes. This is a very similar product to what Pulte has built kind of behind the Winchester Mystery House. I don't know if anybody has kind of driven in that area. All of it would be for sale housing, not rental. All units would have a 2-car garage attached. And then a city requirement, an ordinance that the city and most cities have, is that 15% of the units would be made affordable. And that would be at a moderate income level. So even if these units on the market rate would sell for, you know, $1 million or $1.4 million, the moderate income units would typically be in the $600,000 range. Next slide, please. So here's an overview of the site. And along the left-hand side, as you're looking at this, those would be the 4-story units. So those would be the ones that would be next to Lawrence Expressway. Homestead Road is on the bottom. And then on the right-hand side, kind of the yellowish color units, those would be the 3-story townhomes. We have adjacent neighbors. I think that there's a school and maybe an apartment and the McDonald's. We have the Green Acre would be about a 6,000 square foot park for the residents. And then in red would be a new approximately 5,000 square foot retail building that would be built, when the whole development kind of goes forward. Next slide, please. Okay, so the benefits of the project, I mentioned the 15% of affordable housing. And that affordable housing, typically, the developer doesn't choose who gets the affordable housing units. That's done at the city level. They have a housing department. And they typically give a priority to people that are either residents from Santa Clara and or employees of Santa Clara. Addressing the Santa Clara RHNA numbers, so that acronym stands for Regional Housing Needs Allocation. I mentioned earlier that Santa Clara is tasked with providing over 11,000 new units between 2023 and 2031. And so this is helping them, just one of the many projects that would go towards addressing that. Providing home ownership close to employment, tax revenue and local business revenues. National Association of Home Builders estimates a 1-year local impact of about $3 million in taxes and other local government revenue. Next slide, please. So the schedule. So Pulte Homes actually started this process in the summer of 2024 with what's known as a pre-application to the city. We are kind of in progress of doing the environmental review. Environmental review, some of you might have heard the term CEQA, or California Environmental Quality Act. So anytime, whether it's a city builds something or a private party builds something, you have to look at what the environmental impacts would be. And it's typically traffic, greenhouse gas emissions, there's biological things to consider, the ground, the water, all of those things, schools. And so that is kind of going on, and that's basically done under the jurisdiction of the city of Santa Clara. So they hire a specified consultant. In this case, it's David J. Powers and Associates. The developer has to pay for it, but they do the studies and the reports. Anticipated hearing. We're hoping that sometime in early 2026, that this would go first to the Planning Commission and then to City Council. And those are public hearings. And I believe, let me ask city staff just to, that you can come in person, but can you also make questions online too? I know some, yeah. So everything's changed since COVID, right? That, and technological capabilities that you can make comments and listen from your house. Groundbreaking would be, we believe, in mid-2026. And the planned opening would probably be early to mid-2027. And that would be both product types along with the retail. Next slide, please. This, and if you want to take a screenshot of this, and I can put this back up for those of you who don't get it right now. But Steve mentioned that Neha Patel is the project planner. So we have her contact information and phone number. And also, just to let you know, any project in Santa Clara has a great website. So if you just go on to City of Santa Clara, I think that you guys have a whole page dedicated to just, upcoming or proposed projects. And you could look at all of the different proposed projects in Santa Clara. Okay, last slide. Questions? And before we start, she had her hand up first, so I'm going to take her. But you can ask a question, or if you just want to make a comment, right? I'm seeing a lot of comments already with the signage that many of you have, but feel free. It doesn't have to just be a question. You can just make a comment. Yes, ma'am.
So I live walking distance from this site, and I'm very concerned about the displacement of these independent businesses and the market. And it sounds like you're proposing to go from existing 60,000 square feet of retail space to 5,000.
Yes.
That won't even accommodate the grocery store.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how set are these plants that we've seen? Is it, is there flexibility and opening to larger commercial space, or that's really my biggest concern. I think the design is nice. I think from an architectural point of view, could look nicer. It just kind of looks like boxes. But again, my concern is really what's happening.
The amount of retail that's been incorporated in the plan. Yeah.
There's a lot. I shop at the grocery store, but I do business with other places that are over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for the question. Did everybody hear the question, by the way? That's for the people online. That's a microphone for the people online. It doesn't amplify it. But essentially, it was there was a concern raised with regard to the amount of retail or commercial space that we were proposing. As I mentioned, if it was up to Pulte Homes, quite frankly, in our original plans, we had no commercial space or retail space. They're in the business of building homes, and that's what their preference is. Because this is a mixed use site, there are certain requirements that we have to follow, and we've had many discussions over the last 18 months with city staff to come up with a plan that we have today. I'm sure that the city planning staff would like to see more retail as well, but this is what works best for Pulte Homes. So to answer your question, no, it's not our plan. We have no flexibility in increasing the commercial space. Really quickly, I will add that, so the city puts the general plan in place, and then the zoning has to be in conformance with the general plan. So the general plan for this site is neighborhood commercial mixed use, which allows residential to occur on site at a density between 20 and 36 units per acre. So you remember when I had said this is about a 5.5 acre site. So it could be as high as 36 units per acre. Pulte is actually proposing a development on the lower side of the density. I think that we're closer to 25 units per acre. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess I have a few comments. I kind of wrote a meeting, but I guess this is a developer hosted meeting, so I'll skip that to just general comments. So I've actually personally, I've been a resident of Sunnyvale and Cupertino for the past 30 years. Other than me attending college at UC Davis, where I stayed there for 4 years, I've been around this area, so I have personal knowledge to the developments here in this vicinity. Now, I live in Sunnyvale, so probably I would say 20 years ago, I'm Marion, Washington. So 20 years ago, that area was a Blockbuster. They don't exist anymore. I'm not sure, most of you are actually old enough to remember Blockbuster, but anyway. So there was Blockbuster there was a grocery store. They've actually torn it down and made most of it into residential units. Some of it are stores. There was a Starbucks there, but they closed down. Because when you have mixed use, it's very difficult for businesses to survive. But then also there was a dry cleaner that closed down. So right now there's only a Chinese restaurant, like an eatery and a small hair salon and a Japanese pancake place. So the point I'm trying to make is that I've seen a lot of places like commercial areas being developed into residential, and initially it's good, right? Like it's newer housing, people like the environment, the trees and everything else. But right now, I think there's too much residential units, and making more of it doesn't really seem to help. A lot of elderly too, like there's people that live in that Sunnyvale area. I'm not sure about Santa Clara, but the Sunnyvale area, there's a lot of elderly people. They used to shop at the grocery store down the street. They can just walk there and have a short drive. There's not that much traffic, but right now they can't. They have to drive a long distance in order to get food or get groceries. So it's very inconvenient for them. Like I have a 100-year-old grandma right now, so I can totally understand that situation. So I think I met Mayha before, right? Like I asked you about this meeting, and then you said you were the planner responsible for this project. So I just have a few questions. Are you guys planning to have more meetings from the city and not the developers, right?
Our community meetings are usually for the developer to get feedback.
Okay.
As for this, your comments to decision maker like planning commissions and city council, it goes through the public hearing process.
So this
Okay.
project will have public hearings. They'll have a development review hearing for the architecture review, which
So there's no
have-
public hearings with the city council.
There will be.
there will be
will
for
be.
the tentative map.
Okay, and there will be Q&A.
Yes.
Okay,
There will-
because I think the residents here are not prepared for this change. I think like some of them just learned about this development right now. And that's why I think the residents in that area deserves more time to really decide if that's the appropriate way to go forward. And also, I think if you guys go through the EIR process, the housing won't look like the pictures shown there because there will be sound barriers. Now, if you look at the green lines, there will be all sound barriers blocking the residential units. So when you look at the houses, it'll look like the apartments down the street, where if you drive down Lawrence and then you see like this tall sound barrier and you can barely see the houses. And it's great for the residents, but like living in the property, but if you're driving through it, it just doesn't look great. I mean,
I'm sorry,
Right.
there will be no sound wall along Lawrence Expressway for this project.
okay.
So I just have to
think
correct you on
You'll
that.
have a lot more difficult time passing EIR if you don't have sound barriers.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I do want to clarify, with the architecture review, so that will go to only development review hearing, which is a public hearing. You are able to submit comments prior and at the meeting. Only the tentative map will go to planning commission and then city council for approval. So I do want to make that distinction. And as for the environmental review, right now it's going through the initial study. So not 100% sure if an EIR is required.
Right, okay, so I mean, I'm sure you guys are a lot more experienced. I mean, I am a lawyer, but I haven't been doing this for 30 years, right? It's residential planning, everything else, but from what I can see driving down Lawrence, I see sound barriers for the apartments, right? And I'm pretty sure like if you don't have sound barriers there, it's heavy traffic area. It's on Lawrence and Homestead.
I'll let the applicant clarify on it.
Yeah, we are not proposing sound barriers for this. You are correct that that's one of the acoustics is one of the things that is looked at for environmental. And you can do that with building material type and window.
Okay,
For
well,
SPC rating.
And also, I just want to comment, like, you said something about California will force you guys to force the certain plots to be rezoned into residential if you guys don't do anything about raising the ratio of residents and commercial. I think honestly, like, property rights is a double-edged sword. Like, California cannot force you to build residential units. Neither can we force you to keep your units commercial, right? So I don't think they really can force you to like build residential units. I just want this process to like really slow down for us to think about it. Maybe you guys could build like, you know, Safeways or other shopping centers, so other elderly people living around the area can commute like easily, because even if they have to drive, they don't have to go through traffic, right? Like you drive like five minutes down the street, park and then get food and then get groceries and then drive back home. But if you build residential units there, like they might have to drive to like Costco. There's the traffic there is crazy, right? And it's only just down the street. So, but anyway, that's besides my point. So yeah. Let me see if I have other comments. Right, so I'm a lawyer for Fuhan Inc., but I also help manage the store, and I've seen that this place is really important for the Asian community people around the area, because they've been a long time client of Mr. Dao Zhang. And also there's a postal service store down the plaza. They've been there for 30 years, 20, 30 years, and they have clients with like PO boxes from like 30 years ago. And it's really sad for him. He's not here today, but. Oh, hey, yeah, okay, you're his son. Yeah, I've talked to your dad several times. It's really sad for them to needing to move, because yeah, they've been clients for 30 years. They just kind of don't want to move. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your comments. And just one, you're gonna be. Wait, yeah, yes, I'm gonna ask, wait, but can I just say one thing and then I'm gonna go to you? So this is just dealing with, this gentleman was absolutely correct in saying with property rights, you know, nobody can force you necessarily to, you know, to build something, right? But in this case, as I mentioned earlier, the state of California is essentially saying cities, if you don't do this, if you do not comply with this housing element that we are putting forward, you will be severely punished in the terms of basically like your policing power. And just to give you an example, so the city of Woodside, everybody knows, you know, Woodside, super expensive houses and stuff. They tried to get around it, this housing element law, by saying, you know what, all of our space is protected habitat for mountain lions. So we're not going to allow any of it to change to have more residential housing being built. And the Attorney General from the state of California sued the city of Woodside, and Woodside quickly backed up. So I mean, I'm just letting you know that in my opinion, the cities aren't the bad guys here as far as saying, hey, we want to we want to tear down old shopping centers and see housing kind of go up. Their hands are somewhat tied by the state. And in these particular cases, they had to go through, I don't know how many years it was. Most cities, you know, went through a 2.5 year process of making major changes to their general plan to allow more housing to be built, because the state decided that's priority number one.
I like to respond to that.
Wait, before you respond, can I just ask, because this lady had raised her hand? Yes, ma'am.
Like resident like us, we're forced to go shopping maybe in a far away and having different place. And I really hope to say something about that. I'm here today to protest against the demolition of this existing shop to build a new denser housing. I think if we don't protest, our concerns will be not in favor of development shopping. Development can displace the existing stock, but I really feel losing access to establish the essential service like food and herbs. Food and herbs is the Chinese herbal stock. I get used to purchase traditional Chinese herbs from this stock because my poor health and all my friends know I can't drive. Today, a friend take me here. Wooden houses saw me walk all distance, like 20 minutes walking. And it's also an acupuncture clinic. It is very difficult for almost everyone to find a TCM practitioner you fully trust. Through my many years of experience, I think everybody could understand that it's difficult to find experience and he's honest and you can fully trust. Who can start my lifesaver in many areas? If this guy is forced to move to a new place, it is really a disaster for me. Thinking about losing a trusted clinic takes me a week these days. Really, I got insomnia. I really hope our voice will be heard. I just heard this gentleman say like some people, not everybody, they are so like have a high paying job and they can heavy traffic. I'm not. I need to work, right? And I think the main part I get find the first through here today, like not very critical for everyone to find out, to find experience practicing, right? Because you know him through your real life experience. Sometimes you just less clinic, right? But you go there and doctor sell something, but it doesn't work. But I know this doctor, they give me lots of valuable advice. And I think it's very realistic if also in that area, they will be forced to move another place. It could be far away because in this community, the rent is getting more and more expensive, right?
Yeah,
You have to move to find a place with maybe cheap rent. Usually it's far away place.
yeah. Thank you very much for your,
How about the-
yeah,
We are. Strong boundaries.
understood. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, sir.
Like what you just mentioned was, is it a city of Tanakara who wants to build this? Or is it you as
Pulte Homes or Pulte Group.
wants to build it? Because you are almost something, just a few minutes ago, you are saying Tanakara wanted to develop this. That's not really true. It's
No.
you as a realtor.
No, yeah, so let me tell you, so how things work, okay? This, what I was trying to get to, and maybe I didn't clearly state it. But the city was required to look through all of their properties in the city to say, where could new housing opportunities go? And so this site, I think some of you guys know the Moonlight Lane site where like Save Mart used to be on El Camino, close to San Tomas Expressway. That's even a bigger, that 3 times as big. That's now being proposed for residential housing. So 660 housing units there, and the Korean restaurant, which is one of my favorites, goes away. Hopefully they relocate, but if they don't, so the city doesn't necessarily build the things themselves. They create opportunities of where housing can be built. Hold on, let me just finish. And then we as the developer, we don't have the right, we don't have the powers of the state or a city just to go grab something. The property owner, right, has to say, okay, I want to entertain, I want to redevelop my property. So in those cases where the city has created an opportunity and the property owner has decided it's time, I'm going to get out of this business and I'm going to sell it to a developer because housing can be there. That's when Pulte Homes steps in and says, okay, we are interested in developing at this site. Does that help?
Yeah.
answer your question?
So-
Really give me free opportunity to develop this housing, and you saw the opportunity, and you decided you benefit you by taking out this existing business, because it will benefit you, but by looking at this, it doesn't benefit anybody else, it just benefits you.
Okay, if the property owner, but let me just state, right? Again, you forgot the middleman, which is the owner of the property. If the property owner decided not to sell it, right? Then Pulte Homes would not be here tonight. But I can guarantee you that if Pulte Homes was not here tonight, another company is going to be here tonight. Right? So it comes down to the property owner has decided that they no longer want to operate a shopping center.
So I just wanna respond to your comments. I think the way to look at this is that California is a really big place, right? Like when you're saying the state of California is forcing cities to look at where they should build residential units. I mean, I don't know if you guys lived in Woodland, California, or Davis, California. I did. I mean, there's a lot of land waiting to be developed, and Central Valley is huge. So like, I mean, I guess, yeah, the city of Woodland can look at, oh, which plot of land, like empty barren land, I can build residential units on, right? But I mean, for the city of Santa Clara, it's a pretty developed place, like, or even Saratoga or like Los Altos Hills, they're pretty developed. So I think part of that law is to solve the housing crisis, quote unquote, to look at the empty land in California where we can build. I mean, there's a lot of places Pulte Group has built, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places that are like in Central Valley or like Sacramento, Davis. The whole thing is, I think city of Santa Clara is very developed already in terms of residential units, right? Like we have a lot of apartment buildings, right? Sunnyvale has a little bit less, but then if you look at Cupertino, that's even more less, and then Los Altos is probably not. So the point is like, if you do this on an EIR, I don't know, so EIR, if it doesn't go through a city, I guess they won't require you to do anything. But if I was to look at the EIR and there's no sound barriers, right? There's gonna be heavy traffic. Unless if it's a hotel, like hotels, you can, build it higher and less sound and noise, but people are gonna be living there for a long-term solution to the housing problem. So I think we should slow down, have more public hearings, and have more residents give their feedback and do Q&As.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question or comment? Yes, ma'am.
The area for more than 25 years, like walking distance to that plaza. So I still remember, my two kids like they're 10 years apart. I still remember the first child when I took her to school, so we had to pay Lawrence to go to like south to Lawrence to Cupertino High School. So my first child, I remember I took her there to school like every morning. It's like maybe 5 minutes driving. But suddenly, like in the last few 5 to 10 years, I don't know if Apple moving or whatever. Then my second child, I have to take him to school like more than like 15 to 20 minutes in the morning rush hour. So I guess like on Lawrence is getting very busy. So in the last few years, we saw a lot of buildings, a lot of maybe apartments. For example, Costco, that area, they have, and also Lawrence and El Camino, they also have new apartment building. So the traffic is getting so heavy on Lawrence. And the things like the street, it always get broken. There are always holes on the street. While we drive, it's like always get bumped to the hole. So I can see Lawrence is always like city trying to fix the road all the time. So the traffic is very busy and the road is need to be repaired all the time. So I don't know how the city can solve that problem if we have a more traffic there.
Yeah.
And another thing is like for this plaza and because we lived there for many years, so my parents used to walk to the grocery store almost every week to get their food. And also for the forehand, this Dr. Zhang, my whole family trusts him. So whenever we have that health problem, because like if my family doctor cannot really solve the issue we have, the health issue, Then the whole family just goes to Dr. John and they got get acupuncture or the herbs.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought that if this place is going to move somewhere else, I feel panic.
Yeah,
And their Chinese restaurant, I even went there last night, so we go there a lot.
yeah,
So it's very convenient for the residents, nearby.
yeah,
So if it's gone, then especially for the old people, sometimes they rely on the food in the grocery store and they have to go to see the doctor and they cannot really drive, so it's going to be panic for us.
yeah. So let me just, a couple of things that you said, and it was mainly a comment, but I just want to address a couple of things. And this is kind of unique, probably doesn't make sense, but so when you were talking about like the roads, right? Yeah, so Homestead Road is in the city of Santa Clara, right? And then mainly all of the streets, that kind of come off of Homestead and even Lawrence, like Prune Ridge. But actually Lawrence Expressway, like San Tomas Expressway, is not under the city's control. It's actually the county. So Santa Clara County is in charge of Lawrence Expressway. And so there's always coordination because this project is right on a county road or a county expressway. In a city road, I'm coordinating with two separate sets of the Public Works Department. And what's really bad is sometimes you talked about El Camino Real. That state, California State owns El Camino Real. So sometimes, the projects there, like the old, Kmart shopping center when it was there before it became housing, that's on the corner. You had El Camino, which is owned by the state, Lawrence Expressway, which is owned by the county. And then the other streets that connected it, were either owned by Santa Clara or Cupertino. Because I know Cupertino is also very close to this. The other thing I just want to, I was born and raised here, like this gentleman for, 60 years, right? And spent a lot of time down here in the South Bay. And so grew up right by, on Mitty and Lawrence Expressway, right? Went to Futurama, bowling. And I remember when that came down and Food Villa used to be there. I've seen in other cities where they talk about creating, I think it's called like either a food desert or, particularly in Sunnyvale where this gentleman's from, like there's like little neighborhood shopping centers and they go away and housing kind of goes up. And now all the people are forced to go farther, right, for their services. And I mean, I would absolutely love to see the gentleman that the lady in red had, talked about, and I think that you mentioned, find alternative sites that are nearby, that are close by. I do know that there is a tremendous amount of vacancy on the retail sector right now. I mean, just driving down, whether it's El Camino or even going down Homestead Road, towards San Tomas Expressway, there just seems to be vacant stores in places, to be relocated to. So my hope is that those businesses that mean so much to you in the community have the opportunity to relocate close by to continue service to you in the future. That's my hope. Yeah.
A townhouse, a condos built there, and the traffic is going to be nightmare, even for us to drive to St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's another thing, and I don't know what year it was. Steve might be able to remind me, but the way that in California, they used to look at traffic was, something called LOS, which is level of service. So they would look at like, when you're saying like, hey, you have to wait at a stoplight and there's nothing more frustrating, right? That you're waiting in traffic, the light turns green, you're moving forward. And then then it turns red again, right? And so that's called, you lose an entire cycle. And they would rate intersections. A would be a great intersection. Level F would be a horrible intersection. So the F intersections that I used to know about were Stevens Creek and Winchester, you know, where Santana Row is in Valley Fair, or Westfield Mall now. And then the other intersection was Saratoga Avenue and 280, level F. And so those things, I'm going to get to you right after I answer this question. About, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, the state said, we're not going to look at level of service anymore. We're going to do something called vehicle miles traveled, or VMT. And their goal is to actually have people live closer, to have more housing by employment areas so that they were shorter commutes. What they were trying to get away from is people living in Brentwood or Hollister, where there's a lot of land to develop, but having people have to commute, you know, an hour or an hour and a half into work. So how traffic is looked at now is vehicle miles traveled. I just wanted to share that with you. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, because I'm from Earth's owner. Yeah, because I have this this is a store from our store 3 years, and I have this question. This is plaza. I love this plaza. What's the reason? It's good. Is location, and the face. This is Kaiser Hospital, and much more this community persons. In the Santa Clara, we have 50% Asian people, Chinese, Japanese, India, Philippines, and the Vietnamese, and Korea. Almost the Asian people. But
Yeah.
the Santa Clara, everywhere near all the plaza, townhouse. Look here, this is the Google map.
Yeah.
Everywhere is townhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple townhouse. Where to shopping? Where to the food? Where to buy the food? Where buy this living the products put in the bag. And this is the heart of the Silicon Valley. This is the kind of heart. This one. This here is good, you know, important location. This is the townhouse. This shopping center is gone. Of the 50%, the Asian community person living in the Santa Clara, where to shopping, where to living.
Yeah.
And this is ocean paper. As Asian, maybe all the grandpa, grandma. Now it's working, come by everything. Now, no working. Maybe 30 minutes go to Cupertino, Mountainville, Sandville. We live in the Santa Clara. What's the reason? It's easy. It's really easy. Take food, shopping, go to the Korean supermarket, buy products. But easy. But this is a full herb store. It's American biggest store. This is full herb biggest store. Number one. But now number one is gone. So this is my patient, my customer, employers. They every think this bad news. Look at our townhouse. Where go to the bad herbs medicine? Go to tours, go to Francisco, go to downtown, Chinatown to buy from herbs medicine. It's difficult for everyone. So this maybe I see leaving the persons and the easy. We love the city is living the easy, not difficult. This one question. Second question. This is post office. The much person love this one. Leave the people box and post office. I love this one. Now it's gone. Starbucks is gone. Where is Starbucks? If you want to buy Starbucks, you should drive a car, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, go to Sunnyvale, buy Starbucks. Santa Clara, big city, but Santa Clara government love money, love big company money, don't love the small company. This Santa Clara need a small company, this good business. No small business, no the blood of the body. No blood body, go to die. So I think so today, Asian community will go be that. So this one, look at this one. People, what's the reason? With angry. I love this one. I live in Santa Clara. I tax. Every month I give the tax, go to Santa Clara, the city, county, capital state, or the president Trump. Give money. Where the money? Last week, this counselor is go to my office, every good, thank you, appreciate it. I have question. Big short car. What's the reason having this downtown? Where can find the short car downtown? No short car downtown. Where can see? Go to Sunnyvale, beautiful downtown. You have this farmer market. Where can see the short car farmer market? No. Mountainview downtown, Cupertino downtown, Las Catos downtown. Our short car where downtown? No downtown, no more. This good location. Now you go to change to the townhouse. Or ever townhouse.
Yeah.
How to do everything? We get the money. We go to Sunnyvale shopping, go to Cupertino shopping, go to Sunnyvale shopping. No here. Now government maybe this one, oh, love the tax, the money. This moment. But in the future, the person move out. I love Mountainview. I love this Sunnyvale. I love Cupertino, Saratoga. Everywhere. Who loves the Santa Clara? Santa Clara government councilor, I support you. I support development. If development, this is Asian town, good, I support.
Yeah.
But now, small space, you know, this small space, maybe KFC come here. Neighbor is, this KFC, nothing. Other in out, okay? You're totally living. Every time you need this vote. I love you, I love you. You love this, love this. Every time I look at you, every counselor, I love you person, I love you. Asian person, I love you. Love, hope love.
No money.
You love. At this moment, I think the counselor playing this department should stand with us. We should love the location, the good location. I support you develop. If develop this Asian town, it's good business. Wow, much person come here. You get Cupertino, Mountainview get money. Should the class shopping. More tax.
Yeah.
Government is more tax. They go to downtown. This downtown, a small downtown, but for the Asian people, for the Santa Clara, much person drive a car 1 hour from San Francisco come here shopping. It's good.
Yeah.
Shanghai no downtown. Everyone knows downtown and San Francisco. If this one, maybe the development, this company, development is good, I support. Maybe I think so. If Asian downtown is okay, but smaller is okay. 5% return. My store is 3,000 and 500. Maybe similar, do you know? So I think so. They come here, I'm angry, but I have no solution. And come here. I need the department, I need the counselor, I need the mayor, I need the.
Guys, if you can just keep it down, let them finish.
And I support you. Yeah, your judgment speech is good. I support you. But I think so. You should think much more person living here. We love the community, love the city, and love you. I love what's love? It's easy. It's living easy. Go to supermarket, go to hospital, the CASA. The CASA is big CASA hospital in the Silicon Valley, but now it's downtown. Maybe sometimes maybe leaving the patient come here easy. I think so. The Santa Clara should develop in the future, and we have this more and surroundings, and for everyone living easy. Shopping, food, restaurant, toy box, Starbucks, maybe phone office, maybe everywhere acupuncture. Another is acupuncture. This owner, they come here. I support them. I support you. I want if you think more business area, no smaller. This 600 square feet park, who parking? You who buy the town house parking? The McDonald's parking? No, we parking where?
6,000 square foot park, not
Who
600.
parking? Who park?
Oh, whose park?
Yeah.
It would be, the park would be owned by the homeowners association of the people
Yeah,
that live
it's
there.
for them, for this owner.
Yes.
Yeah, for them. For us, no. So I think last minutes, I know this time is quickly. Last minutes, I appreciate everyone come here, every owner, neighbor come here. I appreciate is mayor, is councillor, is player, and I thank you. Give this chance, I come from here. I want you to think about, give it a good plan, I support you. I want to maybe next the here meeting for this plan, first time earlier, I couldn't see, today told me, have this plan, I know, before I couldn't see. I only know today, come here. I couldn't, have no information. No information couldn't die. So I want to think more the persons, committed persons, immigrant persons, Asian persons, and American persons. We love you. We want this living the easy, it's good surroundings, and for everyone it's good. I want to pay the tax, the different the government, but I want give a living the surrounding. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah.
Jim.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take you next, but I think that there might be a question from somebody online.
A couple quick ones. Building off of this, they want to ask if the park will not be accessible to city residents.
Yeah, so the question was, and I think that this gentleman was asking, the park is just for those homeowners, so the people, so it would be for the 147 people. It's not a public park that the city owns or maintains. It's a park that the 147 homeowners would own, they maintain, there's not a city cost. And so it would be basically for them and their guests. Next
Then we
question.
had two, not really questions, just wanted to say something. I apologize, it's from an anonymous attendee saying that they remembered the Blockbuster and they would like to second what the man earlier was saying, saying that the local businesses shouldn't be don't deserve to be displaced without their consent. I have one statement from a Jennifer Lopez saying, as a resident of the neighborhood and an employee of a locally owned Santa Clara business, my concern centers around the significant displacement of the small locally owned businesses that have been operating in this complex for many years. It's important to the state clearly that I'm not opposed to the building or development in Santa Clara. Our city has had a long history of growth and has always continued to evolve and build. My concern is not with the progress itself, but with ensuring that the development is respectful to the existing community fabric. These businesses are far more than just commercial spaces. They have become an integral social and economic destination for our community. The concern of these businesses is vital to the Asian American community in Santa Clara. Even if they find new locations, the cost of relocation, higher lease terms, retaining staff, loss of business during transition is a great burden.
Thank you very much for the comments and the questions from those people online. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm pretty familiar with state and local housing requirements, and so I just want to reconfirm that the state and the city, basically through their process, have identified this as a good location for housing, and they asked you to come in and propose something, right?
No, so the state didn't ask me, the city didn't ask me, the state required the city to basically create 11,632 new housing opportunities throughout the city of Santa Clara. San Jose's, for instance, is I think 40,000. The city that I live in, Campbell, is like 4,000. We only have 16,000 units in Campbell. So it's increasing the number of units by 25%. This is a huge, unprecedented type item, right? But so from that standpoint, the city basically puts it in place, doesn't force anybody to do anything, but the individual property owners, if they choose, then they can say, I don't want to, if this property owner.
Yes, this property owner that owns the plaza, that property owner has decided that they are willing to sell for housing.
Yes, and they went out to the development community and the Pulte group was the one that ended up,
So
yeah.
they're the ones that made that decision.
Yes,
And it's different for every city based on population.
Yes.
And based on, our requirement here is probably higher than in Davis or somewhere you mentioned.
It's
before.
probably not a requirement, it's a recommendation.
no, it is a requirement.
Like what happens if you don't follow the requirement?
Okay, wait, let's just direct your question to me, please.
So even for money, to force you to do something.
Sure, please. I'm sorry,
It's because we live in such a good city, so ours is places where people don't want to live.
I can tell you that every city in the state of California has a requirement. Every single city. You can look up Davis, you can look up Woodland. They are required to create housing
That's what you mean
opportunity.
by
Could I just answer her question and then I'll address you? So was that? Okay,
So like in general, I think is a good thing. I think that we do have a lack of housing in our city. I also think that mixed use is one of the best ways to build housing. At one point I lived out of state. I loved my neighborhood. It was retail on the first floor and housing all above. And it was great because you walk to the grocery store, you could walk to the pharmacy, you could walk to, the restaurants and clubs, and the businesses thrive and people love living there. But I also know that like 5,000 square feet is not enough space or even just the market and, let alone the herb or the pharmacy and the post office.
yeah, chiropractor, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it sounds like great uses that are on the site currently.
Same time, a big part of the property right now is parking lot that's unused and could be put to better use, so. And like, also, I live really close and the only place to walk to is that's like, when I was recovering from surgery, I walked to the Starbucks and that, because that's the only place to walk to, because it's
Yeah.
not a walkable area. So I think that, turning some unused parking lot and underused, I think that building housing is good. I think that mixed use housing is the best way to do it usually. But I think that this project could be a lot better. Like I said, 5,000 feet isn't even enough for the market. So my question or suggestion for Pulte is to look at the numbers of everything and reevaluate. I'm definitely not asking you to not develop housing here. I do think it's a good place for housing, but I think you can do a lot better than what you're showing us. You can incorporate more retail by doing first floor retail and above that housing, something like that, by designing the buildings differently. But having more retail and more retail that people want to use, it'll make the housing more appealing for people who want to live there. Bringing new benefits to the people who already live in the area.
Yeah.
So I think that you can do a lot with this property and with, the same bullet point you have to hit the requirements and not get sued by the state or for the city to not get that state with all of everything and still come out as a big positive. So I guess my question is, can you show us something better next time? Can you show us housing with maybe even more inclusionary housing above the 15%, more commercial and a practical and appealing design? Will there be more of these community meetings or does it go straight from this to planning commission?
Yeah, so we're required, and so one of the city kind of rules or regulations in having a development proposal go forward is to do either a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting, and an in-person meeting, or you can do one meeting, which is kind of a hybrid meeting. But I'm not against, maybe not here at the city, but, meeting out on site with, concerned neighbors and stuff like that. And I think that we have a list of people that have signed in. And if you want to take one of my cards, or if you took my phone number, I'd be happy to talk to you about it more. And I will, we've been taking notes of everything that's going on, and we'll basically, pass those along to Pulte Homes to help answer your question.
Because the businesses that are there are really important to the community. And also because more housing is so important and necessary.
Yeah.
So as a follow-up, I've been speaking just like as a person, but I also happen to be the founder and director of San Antonio Housing Advocates. And we sent an email to you guys 2 weeks ago asking to get some more information on the project so that we could go through our own kind of evaluation things, comparing it to our mission, values, and strategy statements. I'm happy to re-forward that email.
Yeah. Did you take my card, or if you got my contact information, shoot it over to me.
We care about this project and give you our feedback and be able to, bring our voice into the public space as a collective group and make sure that we come out with the best possible uses.
Great, thank you so much. Wait.
Joe, I wanna be clear though, the state or city of Santa Clara cannot force property owners or developers to build buildings.
No.
Now, let me finish, I know you gotta finish, right? Let me finish. There's very important constitutional rights of the United States, right? The government cannot deprive of private property without due process. Or some very substantial justification. Now, the city can take away private property to build highways, roads, with substantial justification, also with payments, right, reasonable market value. But the city or the state of California cannot require developers or owners, maybe they can require the state can require the city, whatever. But they cannot require owners to build or developers to build.
No,
I don't think that's what's happening.
Yeah. they-
please don't get into a conversation. He's just stating his, yeah,
Yeah.
but
There's a
okay.
way where
Wait,
just
hold on.
I just wanna make it.
Yeah.
clear. Yeah.
Okay, Councilman, Jane, yeah.
So we have our director of community development, the person in charge of development in the city of Santa Clara. And Akshan, can you explain the implications of RENA and builder's remedy and what control builder's remedy takes away from the city?
Sure. So, first, I want to acknowledge some of the statements you made earlier at the beginning of the presentation. And so we are actually in our 6th cycle of RENA, of our housing element. And so this cycle is very different because the governor declared that we are in a housing crisis. We are not producing enough housing to match the number of jobs that we produce. So while we are doing a great job at pushing the economy, getting more jobs, in turn, it's impacting a lot of other things such as housing. And not just housing overall, but affordable housing. So since about 2017, over 200 and probably even more than that, laws have been passed by the state legislature to get more housing to develop. And those laws are basically the laws that we have to abide by. So each of our jurisdictions, the way they do it is every 8 years, we go through what is called a RENA cycle or regional housing needs assessment, and then a regional housing needs allocation. So our region, which is the Northern California region, got a very high number. So each city almost got like, I want to say about like 200% or 300% more than what we've ever seen before. So our role is to take a look at that number, and our number was over 11,000, and see where we could put those, see where we could do the zoning to allow for more housing. So the city was very strategic. Most of our housing is being placed near job centers or transit areas. It's being put in our specific plan areas because those have always been envisioned to allow for more growth. And so most of our units are being placed on along major corridors, near transit centers. I'll give you an example. Tasman East is one of our specific plan areas. So you will see a lot of high-rise housing there. And this is to respond to the state. And the state mandates this. And if we don't have a certified housing element, and we are required to have it, what is happening is that the state is taking local control away. So one of the ways that the state is taking local control away is like through a builder's remedy. And they could take more control away. So the example of Woodside was given to you, but there's also the city of Pleasanton. And if you don't have a certified housing element, the fees that we would have to pay on a monthly basis to not have a certified housing element are insurmountable. I cannot even tell you how much those fees would be to not have a certified housing element. So when you look at all of the complexities of what is being mandated by the state and what is going on in general in the state, it is very, we're taking an approach where it's taking a look at putting housing near and more dense housing near job centers, transit. And this is to benefit a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of residents. We were at a school board meeting, and I've been going to the school board meeting for the city of Santa Clara, but it's not just the city of Santa Clara school board. Many other school boards throughout the state are seeing a declining role in population. Our major employers, such as Santa Clara University, are actually having a hard time recruiting staff and faculty because there's a lack of housing available and even affordable housing that's available. So we have to look at the balance of the entire ask that is being given to us. And while I know that this is difficult and change is difficult, we can continue to have conversations with the developer, and we can continue to have conversations to see if there's other options that are available. Now, the community meeting that's here is one of the meetings, and you'll be hosting more community meetings.
I think I mentioned that I'll be willing to meet with anybody,
Okay,
either out at the site or at their house or, you know.
right. I think
just-
that additional community meetings should be held. But this will also go through a public process, and the public process will be through the planning commission. There'll be notifications that will be sent. So, and then it will also go to the city council, and it's going to the city council and planning commission for a tentative map. Otherwise, this project will be approved, will be evaluated through an architectural review, which is also like a public hearing. And staff conducts that architectural review.
So, just a short
So you are more than welcome, and we encourage you to come to these meetings. And we also encourage you to sign up on the site to subscribe and learn more about the project as it evolves. This is one of the first meetings. It has a lot of studies that still need to be done. We talked about an environmental study. There will be a traffic study that will need to be conducted. So all that may still impact the project and the analysis of the project and how it's evaluated. So it's still in the early stages. The project is not complete yet to take it forward to a planning commission or to a city council yet. They still have pending comments that they have to respond to. So all that is
Short
still,
comment. So as a resident for 30 years, like, there's always been housing shortages, right? 30 years is a long time. Ever since I immigrated here, people can't afford housing. Yet IBM, like, that was the one company, like, my uncle went to Stanford, so even longer than me. So a lot of tech companies like IBM, Microsoft was here, Intel was here, HP, Hewlett Packard was here. So during that time, there was a lot of jobs, a lot of workers, but short housing too. And
correct.
I don't know who was the governor at the time, but he did not act rashly, or, you know, a lot of people didn't act irrationally, right? And they slowly build more housing and they'll build more infrastructure to provide us with this beautiful land we live in. And so here's the thing. Now, if we act irrationally or rashly, it's very easy for you to turn a commercial space into a residential space. but rarely, seldom, it goes from residential place into a commercial place. So all I'm saying is, we need to slow down. I don't care what this assembly bill is, like, it's just a very short term. The thing that politicians do, okay, but if you look at the long term of this, okay, there was housing shortages, there will be housing shortages. There will be a lot of jobs available, a lot of workers come in and out, that's okay, but we should just slow down and really think through this.
Okay, there was a gentleman in the back. Did you have a question or a comment, sir?
It comes in two parts. I was hoping to get it in a little bit sooner, but let's start with this one. In terms of the PowerPoint here, how firm is the layout and the timeline in which you're saying the hearing is early 2026, groundbreaking is mid 2026, and opening of the new site is going to be mid 2027? How firm is that?
So that is, just kind of our best guess estimate, as Afshan, the planning director, had mentioned. There's things that are out of our control, right? That, I mean, we have to still do studies and reports. We don't force the issue to get to the planning commission and city council. We have to kind of go through their process and answer their questions and comments.
That was the timeline that you were provided by planners at the city.
No, this is what we are hopeful of, but we're not in charge of it. The city is in charge of when we get to the planning commission and city council.
Okay. And the second part of my question, I guess it's kind of leaning more towards that timeline of saying, the firm date is early 2026 for the hearing and so on and so forth, but why is it that this particular site is being, I guess this is a question more for Miha and I guess Steve Lee over there. Why is it this particular site when there are others in Santa Clara? I can point out the Pumpkin Patch, Lawrence Expressway in Benton, that was vacant and that was proposed to be rebuilt for. There was Kylie and El Camino, like you mentioned earlier, Moonlight Shopping Center, that also has been slated for redevelopment as well. And how come this particular site affecting Homestead Road and Lawrence Expressway, how come that was getting fast tracked and not as much time as related to the others, decades of comment and talks about that being redeveloped?
Yeah, so I would first say, okay, I'm sorry.
So, what I want to share is that a lot depends on the property owner and the developer. So this is not necessarily being fast tracked. This is going through the same process as any other development that would come in. It's going through all the studies and the reviews and the analysis that we would request of any other development in the city. So while there are other sites that are available for housing, and you are correct about those, the developer or the property owner may not be as inclined at this time to put those applications or move those applications through.
Yeah,
We only process what comes to us. It's really up to the developer to drive some of this, to drive the process.
yeah, and as I mentioned, I think I mentioned, Pulte started back in the summer of 2024. But actually 2 years before, when Mr. Steele Waymark Company was under contract for it, it actually started in the summer of 2022. So I mean, it has been what we would consider a fairly long process. The typical process, like I'm doing projects in Milpitas, I'm doing projects in Campbell, and projects up in the Mid-Peninsula, could be as short from 9 to 14 months from when we start to when we're meeting with the city council. So I mean, Pulte is already more than a year and a half into this process. Yes, Luke.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I had a gentleman on here, Jeff Houston, I believe it is. He raised his hand. I believe he wanted to speak. I got a gentleman on here named Jeff who wanted to speak.
No, yeah.
Online. This is online. Jeff, are you here by any chance?
Yeah. I'm online. Can you hear me?
This is another, I think that we have a dozen or so people online, so most of them are typing their questions in.
Speaker, unmute the speaker.
Can you hear me?
While we're waiting for Jack, was there another comment or question from the audience? Or are we just going to? Wait,
Can you
did the
hear me?
lady in the red top go?
Hello?
Hold on, Jeff, give us 1 second.
Hello?
Saw that it says that it's speaking.
Hello? Let me know when you can hear me.
Can you ask Jeff?
Let me
Just
know
we're
if
having
when
a
you can hear
problem
me.
With
Yeah.
him verbalizing, if he
He
can type
should
it out.
be able to hear us. Jeff, if you don't mind, would you be able to type out your response at all?
You
Or
can't hear
write it
me?
down on a piece of paper and hold it up to the screen.
We can't see it.
You can't, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry about this, Jeff. I know you had your hand raised for a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Melissa Fong. As a frequent customer of the Wuhan Urban Clinic, I'm here to express my opposition to the development plan to replace or convert parts of this commercial plaza into residential units. As a customer, I've seen how important this plaza is to our community. It's not only a plain place, it's a place for where people get a shop to eat, to get herbal treatment and support local business, which provide essential services and a sense of connection that can't be replicated by residential buildings. If these buildings are built, we will risk losing access to these services and connection. Also, the reconstruction will lead to reduced parking, traffic
Apologize.
and inconvenience, which could drive small business out of operation. So that is very serious. I urge the council to protect the commercial and integrity of this plaza and consider other alternatives. Earlier, you mentioned there are other vacant areas where the merchant can be relocated. But I also believe on the other hand, the development plan to consider as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your, well stated things. Yes, sir.
This moment not very well thought out because of all this opposition, and also just by looking at the diagram you have, and I feel like you can really disclose that information. You want to build for plan and say, this is going to be built, and let's say there will park there, and this whole time I thought, okay, it's we're getting a little park, and then I just later find out because someone asked, you said, no, that park is not for us, it's only for those people. So it's like a bad news just keep on coming. You gotta do something better than this. This is not, nobody likes it. Throughout this whole session, just sitting here, I feel like I'm getting almost negative benefit by seeing this. And I agree what this lady says, we're not gonna stay in a world of progress. How things gotta be built. This is almost like a peaceful job. This is, and I only happen to be representing the owner, you're just a developer. But that makes no difference. Any other developer comes in, we are still gonna have the same reaction. It's gotta be better than this, because this is awful. And you can see the reactions. Nobody likes it. And understand what benefit it brings to us.
I'm sorry that you feel that way, but thank you for your comment. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, this is not like a question for the lady that was speaking earlier. I don't know which one. But I heard a lot, she mentioned a lot of times affordable housing and housing crisis, right? Those two were brought up a lot of times. And I've lived in America for most of my life, and I've heard the term housing crisis and affordable housing many times for many years. So I'm just wondering, like, what exactly is the solution that they have found in the past 10 years? And also, she mentioned like affordable housing, right? Just from the presentation, I can show that actually opposing to what he said, I really like. The apartment looks really nice, and I think I live in a similar apartment, and my rent per month is 4,300, and that's nowhere from.
2 bedroom or?
Yes. So I just want to know, like, part of affordable is she talking about?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question, and I have a really good answer for it, and I didn't touch base on it. Afshan is gone, but so California looks at it, and California is an expensive place to live, particularly where we are. Right, in some of the outlying areas of California, it's much cheaper, but because we have high-paying jobs here and stuff like that, very expensive rent, very expensive sales prices. I think that the state believes, and I don't want to speak for the governor, but believes if you put more supply into the mix, right, then it has a tendency to lower down. So I mean, if there was 11,000 new housing units, right, it might lower the overall cost of housing. But specifically with regard to, I said 11,000.
Can you hear me?
32 housing units that Santa Clara is required to do over that 8-year period. But it actually, the state further says essentially half of those units, or maybe it's like 60% of those units, can be market rate, meaning whatever the market will bear. And then another percentage, maybe like, I think it's 25%, have to be moderate income. And how they define moderate is if you make between 80 to 120% of the county median income, right, then that's affordable to you. And then a further 15% of those units have to be low income. And that's the 60 to 80 percentile of the county median income. And then the remaining like 10% is very low income. And that's for people that make, I think it's 40 to 60% or 30 to 60% of the county median income. And so whether we build for sale housing, we have to meet, the city of Santa Clara puts in 15% of your units have to be affordable at the moderate level for sale. If we did rental income and it's new, 15% of the units, I believe, have to be low income or very low income. And so the goal is that we're creating more units, but we're also putting more deed restricted or below market rate units into the mix. So those 440,000 units that are required in the Bay Area, essentially about 40% of them will be below market rate prices. So the tough thing though is finding the apartment, right? That's either low income. I mean, if you're a student or you're
Can you look at this?
dishwasher, you're making $16 an hour, you can't afford that. It's basically based on you pay 35% of your gross salary. It shouldn't exceed that for your living expenses. That's what the below market rate program does. And Santa Clara actually required that before it became a state mandate to do so.
Jim, real quick, we're gonna try Jeff's one more time.
Okay.
See if he, so.
Jeff,
Can you hear me?
Okay.
So I hear you guys. My name is Jeff Houston, born and raised in the Bay Area. I live within walking distance from this project. I want to support this project. We don't have enough housing in our community. My children can't afford to live here because there is not enough housing. When I was a young man, I bought my first house around the corner from my parents and was able to care for them as they grew elderly. Very few, if any, of our children can afford to do that now in Santa Clara. This project could provide space for the important retail clients that are currently here, and include more affordable housing than the minimum requirements, and reduce parking to allow for more density. This is a good first meeting. Let's continue this back and forth so that we have a project that the community is fully vetted. We need to build more housing in Santa Clara. It is of utmost importance. Thank you, that is all.
Thank you, Jeff.
Should be good, yeah.
Okay, are we still on there?
Speaker should, and just, I turn off the.
Okay,
so you should be fine.
Okay, we're a little bit over our allotted time, but I'm still willing to take your questions and comments.
Almost here, there's a China, Asian class are most likely is Asian people. And they all mention lots of things most likely we want to say, but I want to mention one more thing. Is our store hire more than one people. And I think most store has hire more than 10 people as the home store as well. Other store like the probably like the supermarkets more employees than us. I think it probably I just estimate probably all likely is over like hundreds employee in our plaza. So think about the after behind the hundreds employee behind the employee, we have the probably over 10,000 the families we have to take care of, and our employee ask me if the products no more, how can I work? Where can we go? I cannot answer them. So this is really important question. I wanted the governor think more about us. Yeah, this is really about our life, really, we cannot afford our expense.
Yeah.
It's really expensive. Our city is really expensive. Everything expensive.
Yeah.
So our life is really difficult. So I really want all governor to think more about us, really. So if we cannot afford for our expense, how can we live? Right? We take everything our effort for this restaurant, and we have lots of customers and love our restaurant food. So our customer also ask us the same question: where can we to order the really delicious Sichuan food? We are serve Sichuan food, really traditional, all from Sichuan. So it's barely cannot find the Sichuan food in all the area. They told us. So where can we go? As you say, I say your slots. There's only 5,000 square feet for the retail. The 5,000 square feet is not enough for one store. How can we go? Where can we go? Right? So it's not enough for one store. So I really want you to consider more room to the retail. It's all about our life.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just really quickly, I mentioned my assistant, and he's actually my son too, Luke, right? And so I mentioned, we live in Campbell, and when we were driving over, and kind of talking about this, and just the changes that I've seen, kind of going through. This gentleman had mentioned Blockbuster Video, but before Blockbuster Video, I have to tell you, in almost every single shopping center, there was a mom and pop video store. You used to go in, and not DVDs, but VHS tapes, right? And Blockbuster came around and essentially drove all the mom and pop video stores out of business. And it was like the big thing. And what happened to Blockbuster Video? Well, now there's a thing called Netflix, right? And he said, he had asked me, he said, do you think it's going to get worse or it's going to get better? And in my heart of hearts, right, I have to tell you, I think it's going to get worse because I've seen what happens when Walmart and Costco came around, right? And very successful companies, they've made a lot of money and pay a lot of taxes and stuff like that, but really drove smaller businesses out of business. All of the small hardware stores, right? When I was a kid growing up, there was no, what's the hardware store now? Home Depot and, or there's Ace Hardware, which is still kind of small or independently owned, but Home Depot is the big one. And you don't see any more kind of mom and pop hardware stores. And Costco and Walmart, they're buying on the national level, right? So they get cheaper, they can buy their things for cheaper and sell it for cheaper, which we like as consumers, but not necessarily good for the mom and pop grocery stores. And now even those stores, you have Amazon, which is essentially anything that you want, you go on your computer and you send it and it comes to you in the mail the next day. So I think that this is bigger than just the city of Santa Clara. Yes, sir.
A store getting replaced by another store. So very bad those original owners, but it still benefit the residents because it's still a store, still a business, working still auto. So this analogy is not the same as what you're doing.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't trying to make an analogy. I was just talking about a conversation that I had with my son. All right.
Right, also like, I think some things hasn't changed for the past 30 years. I think before 30 years, maybe 40 years ago, there was no housing crisis. I'm not sure, like, this is back in the day of Fairchild.
It's been a long time that we've had a housing crisis.
Yeah.
Right, it's been like,
Way
yeah.
more.
So I came here 30 years ago and everyone was complaining about the housing costs, right? They can't afford it. Now, okay, this is before Facebook, Google, right? Google built their headquarters like next to in Sunnyvale. This is before even internet. Actually, before Google existed, right? So I'm just saying, like, I don't think housing crisis will change necessarily. It's just like how we cope with it, might change. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Oh, and also I'm Taiwanese, right? And I came from Taiwan. Now I heard for 30 years, my parents even longer, right? For 40 years, that China is going to invade Taiwan. Like every year, someone's going to say, oh, China is going to invade Taiwan. But for 30, 40 years, hasn't happened. So that's, yeah.
Okay, guys, I think with that, we'll go ahead and end the meeting. Anybody afterwards that would either like to, I think Meha and Steve had mentioned they're going to be around. If you didn't sign up and you want to sign up your name and either email or phone number, you don't have to, but there's a sign up sheet in the back table. And I'll be around too if you want to come up and introduce yourself to me. But thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.